Alright guys, Scrappy here and I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. It's Elimination Day here in Dallas at Major 2, OpTic, Texas and Los Angeles. Thieves in action later on today. OpTic played the Minnesota Rocket. How exactly did they get to this point that they now have Skies in their team instead of Kenny, who was on stage for the ring ceremony just yesterday? The OpTic guys revealed yesterday exactly how they got to this point. Shotzzy Hex Scump with some very interesting words on what next for Kenny, why they made the change that they did, whether Kenny actually stepped down, potentially it was a mutual decision that they came to over the last few days. Very much on Twitter, your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Plenty to start with, including this. Now, OpTic at their home major historically, whether they've done it here in Allen at the Credit Union of Texas Arena, whatever it's called, or they've done it in Arlington previously, have succeeded rather successfully in the past. So their home events, they have almost always, well, they have. They've made the finals. And this time, it's obviously going to be more of a challenge. But, I mean, who knows? Are OpTic a dark horse for the event? I guess you could kind of put them into that category, probably with the Boston Breach, let's be real. After their result yesterday, things get rather exciting indeed. Speaking of Boston, I just wanted a quick few words before we get back to the OpTic stuff on this team and the victory they had against the Los Angeles Thieves yesterday. I mean, Awakening was like chilling after this win. It was kind of incredible to see, and you got to respect the teamwork that they brought to the table here. Whether they can keep this up is a question, but they play Surge in the bracket tomorrow. The winner of that series gets third, bare minimum, and that's a really big deal, especially when it comes down to World Championship qualification. We know that OpTic have to be in that conversation. Like, OpTic have the 8th seed right now. You've got Cloud9 behind them in the league, making strides. You've got Boston behind them in the league, making strides. It makes the series today that OpTic play against Minnesota Rocket very important, because Rocket and Heretics are two of the teams that, you know, we might expect to drop down, especially if Boston and C9 can continue some of the momentum which they started yesterday. Nature, of course, was pretty mind-blown about the fact that they actually lost this. He even went on to say that we lost to one of the worst teams in the league, at least from his perspective. Interesting comment. I mean, he's not wrong necessarily. Like, Boston are, based on the numbers, one of the worst teams in the league. But I don't think that they're as bad as they appeared lately. Even then, did they play at the absolute ceiling of their potential? I think that's what I found, you know, amazing about yesterday's series, is that I don't really think Boston can play any better than that. Thieves certainly can, but like, Boston were firing on all cylinders yesterday, and if they can keep playing like that, then, I mean, they can make a seriously deep run in this tournament. Whether they can go all the way, I mean, is doubtful, of course, and whenever they play FaZe, they seem to get smoked. They seem to match up better against Thieves, generally speaking. But even then, you know, whether Thieves, if they played that series 100 times, would win the majority of times, I still think that's the case. But, you know, I don't think it's necessarily crash-out worthy. I mean, I don't know, but it should be crash-out worthy, to be fair. Like, they've just gone 7-0 undefeated the qualifiers and got a 21-2 map count. So Nature is well within his rights to be crashing out after defeat like this. But I don't think it means that it's over for Thieves yet. I think their losers bracket run could well be quite spectacular. But they will have to play 2 games today, by the way, Thieves, if they want to survive in the tournament. Thieves will either finish today in top 6, bare minimum, and keep moving forward, or they will be eliminated. And we'll see the evidence of that here in a second. I thought it was cool as well, not this tweet. This tweet and the replies between Kenny and Drazah at 04, they're going back and forth. It just feels like since Kenny's been dropped, I mean, he's still OpTic Kenny for now. He's still got the badge, but and we're pretty sure he has been dropped rather than benched. I mean, they said thank you, Kenny. It's the type of thing they typically do, and you know, he's got it in his header and everything. It's OpTic Kenny and all this. So you know, who knows? But he's actually tweeting a little bit more. I just changed the lighting, by the way, because it looks a little bit more human with this like kind of shade. I don't know what you guys think in the comments, but I keep messing around with it when I'm on the road with like different lighting and laptops and all this stuff, and the sun's coming up and all these things. So anyway, but Kenny's actually been tweeting, right? Like, the last couple of weeks, it's felt like he's been, you know, really struggling from a mental perspective, maybe inside and outside of the game, as to what's been going on with his own performance. And just, you know, the day after the ring ceremony, maybe it feels like he's got a bit more spark back on some level. And he's tweeted in a pretty fun way, I thought, here with Drazah, which was kind of nice to see. And Method said a similar thing as well about, you know, enjoying the ring ceremony, taking all the acclaim from the fans, and then moving on, because he certainly wants to come back to another team. I think I was a bit concerned that if he was to leave the team, the ring ceremony yesterday might just end up being Kenny announcing his retirement like Zinni did a couple of years ago and walking off the stage. Didn't want to see that. So nice to see that Kenny, you know, still has the fire within, or whatever. The fire has been lit for him to make you know, a comeback at some point. But I wanted to show a couple of minutes of the new podcast that OpTic came out with, because there were some very interesting moments in there. Shotzzy saying that he didn't want to make a change, like his intention was to keep the team as it was because he knew the potential. So they wanted to give the team a long rope. It's just, as Shotzzy says in this, it was quite clear that the team felt somewhat defeated and they needed to change something. I mean, frankly, we were saying this for weeks, that something had to change. Whether that was a player, a role swap, or they needed to try something. Even the room swap they did. They could have done that a couple of weeks ago. I'm not saying it made a massive difference, but they should have been trying something. I know their practice got a bit better, but then they actually played Thieves in a real game and got completely annihilated. So then they decided, okay, it's got to change, and then presumably Shotzzy texted Skies the eyes emoji, because that's what Sky said just the other day. But I actually think the other clips here are even more interesting, especially with what he has to say about Kenny and the reasoning behind he wasn't very comfortable on the team.
I guess speak on it a little bit. My mindset is the same shit. Like, this is a winning team. I never wanted to make a change. I mean, that was my mindset this entire stage, regardless of the fact that we didn't win a fucking map. I think we were like 0-18 at one point. And I mean, bro, we literally had a talk and we're like, yo, what does everyone think is like the problem? Everyone kind of said their problems. I'm not gonna fucking obviously say like what everyone said, but
everyone including Kenny?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
of course.
Everyone,
Okay.
everyone said their problems on what they think is a problem. And then, yeah, we went into the mindset of just, going hard, scrimming. And then, I don't know, it's just a way like you could just tell like the camp was kind of like defeated in a way. Like, we weren't defeated. It was just more like something needed to change. Like, we needed like a new something. And I feel like everyone felt it. So yeah, I think like the biggest thing was when we lost to LA Thieves though.
Yeah.
I think once we lost to LA Thieves, because prior to that we had really good practice, probably like our best practice going into the match. And
like, as long as they show signs of life, it was gonna do. But I think by then, Kenny had already sort of made his decision, right? A couple of days ago, and I guess we don't know where we're at. I talked to Kenny. I asked him, I'm like, yo, obviously, like this whole thing sucks. I hope that you can still make it out to the ring ceremony. He said yes, of course. But when he texted Karma and essentially says like, hey, I think the team might need to consider somebody else. We sort of had to take that into account in our decision making, because if somebody's not comfortable out there for whatever the reason, then we have to obviously seek solutions for something. If it was only up to me or up to us, I think that we would have seen the major through. But when your time's sort of up a little bit, it's up.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that he finds a spot in the league this year, or is he like? I mean, I don't want to dive too much into like.
Yeah, I don't think we should. Just
his decision to.
I think he wants to play.
Does he want to play?
I think he wants to play. I think he wants to play with a different team though, for sure. And that's not like no disrespect towards us. It's just more like I think he just didn't like he wasn't comfortable on this team. As simple as that.
On this wasn't comfortable in this team on this game, because we won a fucking world championship.
Yeah,
and a major last year. We won twice last year.
Honestly,
so.
it's kind of like this game, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it without going too. I mean, I know the reasonings, but like I don't want to tell everyone, and then like everyone's like, "Holy fucking shit!"
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
But clear up the reasonings. The reasonings are they negative?
It's just like how we play as a team, I guess.
So what do you guys think about this idea of Kenny effectively telling the team, like, hey, I think it's probably best if I step down? I wouldn't be massively surprised if this is the case. I know that some people will say, oh, like, OpTic are just kind of protecting Kenny and all. So I don't really think that's true. I think it's likely what they're saying is legit. And Kenny has said in the past, I mean, I think it was even the OGLA team back in 2019 or 2020, I guess it would have been, but that season, right? When Kenny, the team was terrible. And Kenny said to the team, like, hey, I'll step down if it's what the team needs. And the coaches were like, yeah, no, we think we'll bench, Dashy instead or whatever, right? But, Kenny has been in a position before where he's been playing bad and he's like, look, it's not working out. I'd prefer just to be off the team rather than continue going at this pace, because he's got confidence that he'll go elsewhere and he'll still make it work. So, maybe Kenny reached out to them. It might make some sense in hindsight looking back at his reaction to them beating Gentlemates, because, the rumour that I heard over the last couple of days is that Kenny didn't really find out that they were going to make a change until after that series concluded. But it seems like that's probably not true, because I did feel like Kenny's reaction to when they won that series against Gentlemate, it looked like he was already off the team, if you know what I mean. And to be fair, he's looked like that for weeks, so maybe it's not massively different. But yeah, I don't know, it's interesting. But Kenny wanted to come back is, I think, good news for the scene. But I thought my favourite clip about this was what Shotzzy said here. And Hector was like, hey, could you expand a little bit more on what you had to say there, Ant? Because he said there were some reasonings behind why Kenny wasn't comfortable on the team that he doesn't necessarily want to go into. But the way that Shotzzy said it, I thought was very interesting, because he was like, oh yeah, it's kind of in-game stuff and all this, like the way that we want to play the game. My read on what Shotzzy said there is that there's probably a bit more to it than that. It's just that the situation has been so chaotic, right? Like, Kenny was not great at the start of the year. He wasn't great when Hook was in the team. He obviously had his problems, I imagine, with the way that Hook was playing the game. We saw that at some depth, and then, of course, Hook got dropped from the roster. But then Pred comes back in this kind of remarkable set of circumstances, and Kenny falls off a cliff and looks like he doesn't want to be there. So, who knows what happened over the last weeks, but I thought it was especially interesting, really, what Shotzzy said, that Kenny had his reasonings why it wasn't going to plan, and those are reasonings why, that Shotzzy doesn't really want to say publicly, even though, if it was as simple as, look, it's just in this specific game it's not working with Kenny, and his playstyle isn't really aligning with what the rest of us want to do on the map, especially with Pred back in the team, maybe it would have been easy enough to say that, right? So intrigued to your perspective on that one in the comments section below. There was also talk as well about the scrims, because, they played FaZe. Of course, FaZe are now tournament favourites here in Texas because of what happened to Los Angeles Thieves yesterday. But they were talking about their scrims against FaZe and saying that they played a few close hardpoints, which is, better than nothing, I guess. And then when they played Gentlemates were getting slammed. Unfortunately, Gentlemates are just terrible. These guys are not good. They are certain to lose today, in my opinion, to Toronto. But in truth, look, who knows? Obviously, anything can change. But yeah, outside of the Vegas Falcons, Gentlemates have been in a woeful run of form, but I don't necessarily see that changing. So, interesting for OpTic, because we heard rumours about this. Scump talked about it and said that, look, the FaZe scrims have been going well, kinda. And also whether, that's actually a good result or not is a serious question. But let's talk about the games for the day. As Ake says, OpTic is winning today. Can you believe it, against the Minnesota Rocket? He's talking about the drum cheese. We are so back here. Look, I imagine they're going to do it, because OpTic may only play one series. So if they're going to bring out the drums and everything that they want to do, they've got to do it for this one series, right? And it's going to be interesting to see Skies come through as well. I actually think that OpTic will win, but, I don't know is the answer, really. FaZe kind of destroyed Rocker. Estriel is very good. Nero, sometimes, I feel like Nero will just magically turn up today and have a really good series. Paul X, though, was... yeah, he's been struggling for a good time. Yesterday had a 0.5, right? 0.53 or whatever it was against FaZe. If that continues, it's tough to imagine that OpTic can lose, because they should be better with Skies, bare minimum. This, then, is your bracket, and I don't think many of us predicted this coming out of the day one. So FaZe Cloud9, Boston Surge, those two games are played tomorrow. And, Cloud9 were impressive against Ultra. Could they put up a fight against FaZe? I think they will put up a fight. Will they win? Probably not. Surge, of course, would also be favourites to get top 3 on the other side, but who knows, the way that Boston played yesterday. This is losers bracket, though, and we start with Thieves Heretics, and maybe that's the first or second game. I'll have a look for you guys here in a second. I think it is the first game, and I'm pretty sure it goes in order from there. So Thieves Heretics, it's tough for Miami, but it is what it is, right? You start in losers bracket, this is the type of stuff that can happen. It's funny though, because Thieves were the number 1 seed, of course, so Heretics were the best possible losers bracket seed, with 9th seed, so they were probably thinking, we'll get Boston, that's our best possible first round game. Turns out not the case. They play Thieves, and it's probably going to be pretty difficult for them to win that one. Ravens should get a nice bounce back win, you'd imagine, against the Falcons. Ultra versus Gentlemates, as I say, I don't think it's going to be that competitive. OpTic versus Rocker, that is really the interesting series. Of these losers bracket games, it's the OpTic game that nobody really knows what's going to be happening. I think the community is very split 50-50 on this. Will Skies make enough impact for them to beat the Rocker? Because it's not like Rocker are bad. They're a gritty team, as we know. They like to take it down to the wire. They're never going to give up. Against teams with more talent, they are going to get bowled over if that talent plays well as a team, and that's not really been the case for OpTic as of late. My feeling is it's not going to be clear-cut either way, but I think, going to pick OpTic to win this one. I believed in the honeymoon period, and I think I believe in the home crowd stuff as well, to give them some sort sort of extra edge. I feel like Pred, if OpTic are going to make a run this weekend, Pred is going to be instrumental because the energy that he brings, certainly on a LAN environment, and I feel like I can see Pred really turning up today and delivering a show, let's say, for the fans. So I'm going to take OpTic in 4. And then the final game of the day, notably enough, is, because it's 5 games today, the winner of the first series versus the winner of the second series. So presumably Thieves Ravens. It's obviously tough to look past Thieves in that. I'm still going to believe in the LAT losers bracket run, but maybe I'll be proven wrong on that in due course. So very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.